so nice to be back with you again. Ryan, always nice to see you. The old Delaware Slicker himself is here.
It's a pleasure.
Our schedules lately have been kind of wild, but here we are today. And you know, there's a lot going on in the world. So the fact that we can sit here as old friends and talk about some good old-fashioned pro wrestling, what a treat.
I feel good about it. Hopefully, not for the last time.
Now here's how this works. There's a large vat of old pro wrestling magazines. I reach in and I feel around, give it a tug, see what we find.
I never get to reach in. One of these days I'd like to reach in.
And you know, sometimes
Give it a tug.
I kind of go by the cover. Sometimes the cover, sometimes it's like the month after one we've already done. We try to get some different things going on. But
Sure.
that's how it works. So today, are you ready?
I'm always excited. What's it going to be?
Yeah, because Ryan has zero clue about.
I don't know. There's no rehearsal here. He tugs it.
We go back to December of 1991, and that's where we find Sid Justice on the cover. Sid Justice setting his sights on the Snake. Now that's got to mean Jake the Snake, I'm guessing.
You know what? This feels like fate because, I mean, right now we need a master, a ruler of the world. Look at the intensity on that man's face.
You know, I've seen a lot of people on this planet, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone that looks quite like Sid. He was certainly a unique character.
Boy, was he put together.
Yeah.
I've always said he has one of the best bodies. Like if I had to pick a body, I've always said like Goldberg. Sid is right at the top of my list. If I had to pick like from like neck down.
Well, he's in good shape, but he's also very tall. He's not a bulky guy.
And I like tall.
Yeah. So when someone says December of 1991 to you, what comes to mind?
91. I'm probably 8 years old. December of 91. That's late 91, entering 92. I'm thinking Ric Flair. He's going into the WWF. Kind of just making his first appearance in the WWF. Do you think we'll see him in this magazine?
I think he wins that Royal Rumble in January of 92.
That's one of my favorite Royal Rumbles of all time.
Do you have any memories of Double Dragon on Double Dragon 2 on Game Boy?
Did I play Double Dragon? Is it on Nintendo?
Yes, Nintendo, Game Boy, and
yeah, I'm sure I played it. I was big into video games around this time.
Now,
I got my first Nintendo when I was 7.
Brutus Beefcake says, "Just say no to drugs." A special message from the WWF and Brutus the Barber.
I was just thinking, you didn't have a Nintendo. You weren't allowed to have one. But I
had
had
a Game Boy.
That's not the same.
That's with a Nintendo product.
My first system was a Nintendo.
It's Nintendo with a screen built in.
Right. I don't think you had a Game Boy. I think you had a Game Gear.
I believe I had Game Gear was a Genesis product.
Yeah, that's what you had. You didn't have a Game Boy. So I had a Nintendo, and I remember when I first got it when I was 7 years old, my stepfather would tell me that I didn't have to move and jump up and down with the controller. Because I would try, like with Mario was my first game, I would try to jump when Mario jumped. I thought that I had to move. Instead of just pressing the buttons, I thought I had to do this.
What are you, an idiot of some kind? I mean, that's like real imbecile behavior.
That's what I thought.
Survivor Series 1991, The Gravest Challenge. Hulk Hogan against The Undertaker.
That's a rough-looking Undertaker.
Well, you got to think, what a year The Undertaker had. From debuting at Survivor Series 90 to main eventing and defeating Hulk Hogan 1 year later. I mean, that's a serious year.
But I just mean as a human. Have you ever seen an uglier human than that? Right there in that picture.
This was around the time when they were putting the effects on him to make him look like a zombie.
Yeah. I was really worried for Hogan.
Did you think Undertaker, when you saw him as a small child, did you think of him as being like a zombie? What did you think of him?
Okay, so I'm at the local arena, right? And WWF comes to town, and Undertaker's having a match. I might have told this on here before, I don't know. I'm in the front row, of course.
Of course.
Undertaker falls out of the ring, and right by the guardrail, back when they had the old steel guardrails with you could reach your hands to them, you know? He's laying there, literally. His hair is draped across my feet. His head laid right at my feet. And I remember I was there with my grandfather, and my grandfather whispered to me, he goes, "Go ahead, touch him." And I was too scared. I don't know why I don't know why my grandfather wanted me to touch him. I don't know what the fascination. You know how it is. You want to reach over and you just want to
Well, he was a zombie.
touch a wrestler to make sure he's real.
I think he wanted you to see if the Undertaker was undead.
And I was mortified. I was very scared. So it was legit with me. Undertaker had me going, and I was probably I don't know, maybe 12.
I thought you were going to say 27.
No, not that old.
Well, so what version of the Undertaker would that have been? Like the Phenom Undertaker?
I think it was like probably 95, 96.
So the one feuding with like Yokozuna.
I think he might have had that mask on that Mabel like dropped him and he put that mask on. I'm not sure. That was a little scary.
You would have been about 27 at that point. Now these are some shoes. Would you play basketball in golf shoes? Why lift in anything but Atomics?
If that doesn't sum up Virgil's career right there, you have 2 pages to choose from, and you choose for the sneakers ad. Well,
it's not a good sign.
For the
well.
Now, wait, what is it now?
Well, you're into bodybuilding and fitness and going to the gym. These are shoes that you lift in.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Now Virgil looks good there with the belt.
I'd love some of those Atomics. How much do they cost? Is there a price on that page?
$70 it looks like.
That's decent. Mm-hmm. This is a long time ago, though.
It's not that long ago.
I like Bobby the Brain.
Now, WrestleMania 8 has been announced at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Sweet. Looks like a big place.
Wrestling was kind of down around this time, 91, 92. Wrestling was starting to come off of that high of the late 80s. So to get a great crowd at the Hoosier Dome is a big deal for the World Wrestling Federation.
Was there ever a WrestleMania that didn't like sell out? Was there ever a WrestleMania that was like kind of they had to make it look like it was sold out?
WrestleMania 7, the year before this, was supposed to be at the LA Coliseum where the Olympics were, but they had to move it to the smaller LA Sports Arena
because they couldn't sell tickets.
Some people say there was a safety concern over Sergeant Slaughter. Some say the ticket sales were soft, depending on who you talk to.
Right.
But a big show at the Hoosier Dome was a big deal for them in '92. Were you much of a Skinner fan from the Florida Everglades?
I didn't mind Skinner. I mean, I like a wrestler with a knife. I think that's kind of neat.
Oh, you do like that?
Yeah, I like a wrestler with a knife. I mean, there's nothing you can really do with it, I guess. But there's a presence there. I guess you could cut his beard with it.
Well, Skinner, he would skin alligators.
Yeah. But just the presence of, and I've got the knife. I'm not going to use it on you. Not yet.
Not yet. You ever remember Skinner winning a match? I don't particularly offhand.
I'm sure he won some squash matches.
Yeah.
Now, look, when you see Sid right here with this look on his face, do you think that someone just told Sid to start posing and he just kind of came up with some different, like, pose? I don't understand what that means. What does that face mean?
I'm guessing that the photographer might have given Sid some direction as far as some different emotions.
Sid with a thumbs up? Sid with a...
Where do you see... Oh, okay.
Who do you think you are? There's a lot going on. It's like angry, intense, and then it's like...
Well, here he's happy. The job
but he's not smiling, but his thumbs up.
Well, he's serious. Sid was never a smiling, happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
What does Sid Justice mean? This is not Psycho Sid. Every other form of Sid was usually about him being crazy, but this is not supposed to be that. This is Sid Justice.
I always wondered why the WWF felt the need to bring in Sid as the smiling Sid Justice on the side of Hulk Hogan. Do you remember? I'm going to say SummerSlam '91. Sid Justice was the guest referee for that tag match with Hogan and Warrior against the Triangle of Terror.
Right.
And there he is posing with Hulk Hogan. I like Sid better when he's a nasty kind of despicable.
You know what? You'd think if they were going to do that, that would lead to... Well, that is what it led to. Didn't it lead to Hogan and Sid at WrestleMania? And Sid being in a villainous role?
With Harvey Whippleman.
Yes, I think that's what it starts out. It starts out as a friendship, and then sometimes you know how it is when you have a friendship, and then sometimes it turns into hatred. Usually that happens more with marriage.
I get that feeling doing the show with you sometimes.
It's going to happen.
Battle
things are brewing, people.
of the Titans. Bret Hart versus Erwin R. Shyster for the Intercontinental Gold. You like a wrestling tax man?
Do you remember Bret Hart with that much pink for very long? Like with that pink, with the pink What is
the
it?
the
Sergeant
pink
Pepper
jacket. Yeah, the Sergeant Pepper jacket.
The pink one though. To go with the pink trunks, a lot of pink.
I think that's a little too much. I liked it better when he's got the darker jacket.
Eventually, he started. It was more pink and black than just mostly pink.
Yeah.
I dig it though. Bret Hart pulled off the pink.
Well, you know the reason behind that was because if you mix the colors of the Canadian flag, you get pink. I remember Bret Hart saying that at some point.
Bret Hart always has an agenda. I mean, Bret Hart really thinks it through. If you're watching Bret, I like it.
And Bret loves Canada.
And Ryan loves Canada. Although I've never been.
I was going to say, that's kind of an odd statement.
I've never been, but it sounds wonderful.
Hulk Hogan gearing up for the gravest challenge. Undertaker would have a lot more tattoos than this as the years went on.
Hey, how about that? That's a great point.
Well, you remember, as time went on, it became more and more. Hogan is really looking a little,
I love that Hogan doesn't have tattoos. Did he ended up getting some tattoos?
I think later on in life, not in his wrestling days.
But man, Hogan, how dumb would Hogan looked at this point with tattoos?
It wouldn't have fit his persona.
Awful.
Boy, look at this cast of characters here.
I like a good Survivor Series. All right, here we go. If you're taking a team into the alley for a real fight,
okay,
I'm talking about a legitimate throwdown.
All right,
and you've got to go against 5 of the baddest men on the planet. Who's the 4 you're taking with you right here?
I think I'm going to have to go with this team here: Sid, the Legion of Doom, and the Big Boss Man. You know what?
That's smart, but you know what? I think I'm actually going to take the natural disasters because I feel like if things start going bad, I can outrun them, and I'll be able to get away while they catch a beating.
Well, Typhoon and John Tenta just themselves look like some rough customers.
They would be, but just in case it went bad, I could get the heck out of there because I'm pretty sure I could outrun any of these. Mike Rotundo might beat me.
Well, I get the feeling too.
Jake's not beating me in a foot race. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, wait, are you fighting Jake Roberts or are you on his team?
You don't understand. You're fighting, things don't start going well, you get the hell out of there.
You always have an agenda.
Me and Brett, I'm going to Canada.
Jim Neidhart looks here like he, with that oversized jacket, he looks like
You love Jim Neidhart. I knew it. Out of all the guys, I said, here comes something about Jim Neidhart.
With his expression and his outfit, he looks like he doesn't know where he is or something.
He looks like I think he's in his tag team outfit, but he doesn't have his tag team partner.
He's in the high energy clothes. Not high energy, the new foundation.
You know what I bet he's thinking, what happened to Bret Hart?
Now, Big Bully Busick, he didn't last too long, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. He was like an old school 1930s bully.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, he wasn't around too long. I always liked that, though.
You know something that's weird to me?
That's Jim Duggan.
It's unfortunate.
And that's the Texas Tornado.
Yeah, I know. It was bad about Kerry Von Erich being so upset about that team not making sense what happened.
Would you like to ask me a trivia question that I have no knowledge of?
We can do that. Unrehearsed.
Unrehearsed.
I didn't know this was happening.
I know my stuff.
All right. Who's the WWF's international law enforcer?
This is like a fake question. This isn't even anything.
What do you mean it's a fake question?
International law enforcement. Jack Tunney?
I've got to find the answer. I would have said Jack Tunney, but I'm trying to find the answer.
Sid Justice?
I can't find the answer. I think it's it looks like it might be the Mighty Doom.
What does that mean? The Mighty Doom?
I think it's the Mighty Doom. I can't follow this.
Where is the question? I don't even see the question.
The question is under odds and ends, but I don't see. Oh, there's odds and ends. Oh, it's the Mountie.
Now, see, that's a fake question. That's not even.
Okay, let me give you a real one.
I'm done.
Okay. Now I've made him mad.
Now this.
The show's over, basically.
Did Jake ruin the macho marriage? I think this is alluding to the marriage of Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, and Jake Roberts had a snake in the wedding gifts. Remember that?
What do you mean he had a snake in the wedding gift?
During the wedding reception, Miss Elizabeth and
wasn't that like bonus content or something?
Yes, on the VHS tape. There was a snake in the wedding gifts.
My God, look how stunning she is.
What would have happened at your wedding reception if someone would have put a snake in the wedding gifts?
Man, what a beautiful lady. That's a what?
What would have happened at your wedding reception
if someone
put a snake in the wedding gifts?
I would have been mortified and terrified. You know how deathly afraid I am of snakes and animals in general. Afraid of all animals.
I'll tell you what, this version of Jake Roberts here, what a dastardly guy. Snakes at the wedding reception, and then he put that snake on Randy Savage's arm.
That was nasty. I don't even know what was going on with that.
That still to this day is one of the most incredible visuals
That might be why I'm afraid of snakes.
of Randy Savage tied in the ropes with that cobra.
I had blocked that out since you had mentioned it. I had forgotten. Now it's all coming back to me, and it's freaking me out.
I was a big fan of Tugboat, but I wasn't a huge fan of the natural disasters. But it's okay.
It's okay?
I was never a big earthquake fan.
But it makes sense. You have earthquake, and then you come up with typhoon, and you got two fat guys, and you call them the natural disasters. Did anyone ever call them fat guys on television? Has there ever been a fat wrestler that someone said, "Oh, here comes this fat guy"?
Well, wasn't PN News the rap master? Wasn't his thing that he was a fat rapper?
Did anyone ever come out and say that he was fat? Has anyone ever on wrestling
PHAT.
came out and said you were fat?
I can't think offhand.
When I think about
Are you pitching ideas for me
no.
to get on television?
No, I'm saying the next the wrestler that comes to mind from today as we speak is like Kevin Owens, and I think every storyline with him should revolve around him being a fat wrestler, and none of them ever are.
The problem with Kevin Owens' physique is that he's got like kind of skinny looking legs and no chest, but like a gut. And I think if he was balanced out a little bit more, he wouldn't look as fat. But as it is now, he's got a pretty big gut. And no one mentions it, to your point.
Yeah.
So
they should have brought him in with like some vignettes where like he was waiting in line at the DMV. He looks just like some guy that would be waiting in line at the DMV.
maybe he could be the son of Typhoon or the new natural disaster.
One time, and this is no lie, I was waiting in line at the DMV, and there was a guy getting his license plate or whatever, and he was standing, and he was so fat. But he was one of these guys that was top fat, and he had no bottom, and his pants were like completely down, and his both butt cheeks were just out at the thing. And I remember just like there was like 10 people just dying laughing because he was just his entire, not just like a little bit of crack, entire butt out. That's Kevin Owens' character to me.
Did he not know it?
I assume he didn't know it. Who just stands with their butt out?
It's tough to think about, but in late '91, Ric Flair showing up on WWF television with the WCW belt, the big gold belt. I mean, that's a big, big deal.
He must have been pretty angry to do that.
I think he was.
Do you think that he caught some heat from the boys about doing that? Do you think there were people that were probably upset about him doing that?
Well, I think the story was that if you had that belt, you had to put a deposit on the belt. I forget what it was, a couple $1,000s, and they wouldn't give him his deposit back.
So he wouldn't give him the belt back.
So he said, "I'm going to keep the belt."
But isn't that different than taking the belt on television, on someone else's television product? Isn't that bad business? Doesn't that make other people later? Obviously, it didn't hurt Ric Flair. He had a job for a long time with wherever he wanted to go.
That's an interesting point because Medusa came on Nitro with the belt and threw it in the trash, and that kind of had her heat for a long time. Yeah, I guess when you're Ric Flair, you can do kind of anything. No one seems to mind.
Yeah, summed up well.
Your reverse enemy. The Bushwhackers are barred news for the genius. They're saying it like Australians, I guess.
This doesn't seem like something that would I don't know, as you would say, according to one of your phrases, move the needle.
The Bushwhackers genius feud?
Yeah. When I saw it, I was already uninterested. I didn't even have anything to speak on it. I just...
You know what I did like about the Bushwhackers? I love that battering ram. That to me is such a great move for like... They were being portrayed as like a couple dumb guys. To put your head down and someone else grabs your head and runs your head into something else.
I love a tag team, like a tandem move.
Yeah, and it's such a dumb move, but it's perfect for someone.
It goes with them perfectly.
Yeah. Oh boy, here. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Harry and the Hendersons is one of the most entertaining programs on television. the show became even more interesting when Jim Duggan made an appearance.
I thought Harry and the Hendersons was a movie
I think
with John Lithgow. Did they make a show out of
They
that?
must have made a TV
That
show
couldn't have been
about
on very long. I'm sure Hacksaw's episode was the last one.
You're a big fan of Married with Children. Isn't this kind of similar to when King Kong Bundy showed up on one of their episodes? Looks like kind of a similar thing.
Yeah, it was kind of. Actually, King Kong Bundy. Excuse me, King Kong Bundy was on more than one episode.
Are you okay? Well, what made that interesting was he had the last name of the character. Wasn't he like a relative of Ed O'Neill's character or something?
What's funny is on one episode.
This is more about Harry and the Hendersons.
This is seasons before he came on as a.
If you could loop this into Harry and the Hendersons somehow,
I'll take care of it.
Because this doesn't have anything to do with King Kong Bundy and the Hendersons.
Seasons before he came on as King Kong Bundy on Married with Children as a wrestler. Seasons before that, he had played a kind of like backwoods cousin to Peggy Wanker. He was a Wanker, not a Bundy, even though his last name was Bundy in professional wrestling.
Well, you've said before Married with Children is your favorite show of all time.
Favorite show of all time, Married with Children.
So you could probably talk about that for a long time.
That'll get you something. That can be maybe a different show. But I thought I'd throw that out.
Safe to say maybe the writers or producers of Married with Children were wrestling fans and wanted to bring on King Kong Bundy, maybe?
You'd think so. Maybe pals.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Low down. Texas Tornadoes turkey tips. As anyone can see, the Texas Tornado spends a lot of time in the weight room. You know all about that. You're in the gym every day. He maintains a strict diet. Rarely does he indulge in calorie-dense foods like ice cream, chocolate cakes, or fried foods. This Thanksgiving, I want you to cut down on the fat but still enjoy yourself. I suggest that you remove the skin from the turkey, request vegetables and yams without butter, and eat plenty of fruits and chestnuts.
I argue...
You're very much into your health and your
I am,
calories.
but I argue the point that if maybe Kerry Von Erich had a little bit more butter and chocolate cake, he might still be with us. I think if you fed me nothing but chestnuts, I'd be gone too.
Luther Vandross meets some of the WWF's bad boys. Virgil was so impressed with Luther Vandross, he said, "When I'm chilling with a babe on a Saturday night, I'd like to listen to Luther Vandross."
Do you really think that any of them are actually... Did they write this article? Did they send it in? Did they write it on a letter and mail it to someone? Were they asked these questions?
Hulk Hogan hotline.
That sounds like a bunch of BS.
Grand prize meet Hulk Hogan in person.
Look at that red and yellow phone.
That's a good little touch there. I like that.
But where do you think that happened at? Where do you think that took place? Where
the meeting of Hulk Hogan?
They say, all right, come in this room. And they had it all set up for him with the phone. And they were like, okay, pick it up and smile, and then you're out. And then he's gone, and that's money.
I'm more interested in this. The grand prize is meeting Hulk Hogan. Where do you think that meeting takes place? At an airport? Probably like an airport.
Maybe that was the day he got caught having sex on camera. Maybe that was the grand prize. He didn't know it was going to be all this.
I don't know if that works out well timing-wise.
Big meal.
That was like 25 years later, but...
No, okay.
Do you have any memories of the WrestleFest arcade game? I certainly do.
The No, I didn't. What system was that? This must have been on Game Gear.
This was an arcade game.
Must have been on Game Gear.
When I was growing up, we didn't have a washing machine, and we had to go to the laundromat a lot. And they had WrestleFest at the laundromat.
That's pretty neat. So wait, it was an arcade game. So is there anything special you can tell me about the game, or was it like every other wrestling video game you've ever played?
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, was there any kind of special match or anything?
Everything's special. Look at this. This is the Ultimate Warrior with his little...
I've been around for a long time. Let me tell you, everything's not special.
With his little Ultimate Warrior logos on his cheekbones. Not his face, just his cheekbones. You like that?
Was that him trying to phase out the face paint?
I think maybe he was trying something.
I don't blame him. Like being real lazy, like he didn't want to do the whole face. I don't blame him.
At the Macho Man Randy Savage bachelor party, the Bushwhackers brought along a New Zealand favorite. A sandwich filled to the top with sardines and Limburger cheese.
Man, what a couple of assholes. I mean, that is so disgusting. If you had brought that to my party,
what?
I would have thrown them out immediately. That is so gross.
I don't know why the WWF is so intent. There's sardines on this page here. Why are they so intent on driving home sardines with the Bushwhackers?
Is that a big like Australian stereotype of the 90s?
I think all right, let's say Limburger cheese, which is notorious for being kind of a very smelly kind of cheese.
That's true.
Sardines are a strong smelling food. I think
Right.
they're trying to portray that the bushwhackers are kind of wild guys and they eat a bunch
They're
of
stinky?
crazy stuff. Yeah.
So it's not an Australian thing. It's that they're a stinky.
I think they're
couple.
just they're
They're
stinky
stinky
or wild
couple
men.
guys.
They're a bunch of stinky
Well,
wild men.
I didn't know what was in the bread until Steve read that, but I was thinking that they had like a 6-foot hoagie with like some good like Italian meats or something there.
That wouldn't be on brand for the bushwhackers, I don't think.
But I'm saying after this, you want to share a 6-foot hoagie?
Yeah, you treat.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If you
I mean,
treat-
I just got a hankering for something.
I would say myself, I once a week will have some sardines. Good source of omega-3s.
My son likes sardines.
I don't see why that's so gross.
My wife takes omega pills, fish pills or something they're called, fish oil pills, something for
not-
general health.
that's not-
I read the bottle the other day. It said for general health. I was like, I don't. I was thinking about taking it, and I was like, I still see it. I don't know why.
Let's say that here, December '91, going into '92, business in '92 for the WWF is going to take a little bit of a downturn. Do you see it at this time? I know you were a fan at this point. You were just a little
Tyke.
Delaware slicker. But did you notice that things were going down? I mean, they got Sid, they got Ric Flair, they got Hulk Hogan. What a roster!
Did
business is going
8-year-old
down.
me realize that the business was going down? No. And I was just as into it as I was before. I didn't notice that there was a problem. I liked the show. I liked Ric Flair in WWF. I was a big Ric Flair fan as a kid. I don't know. That's what I remember from that time period. I like Ric Flair.
What is your favorite version of Sid? Sid was around in a lot of different places at a lot of different times. What's your favorite Sid? I think my favorite Sid is the one that feuded with Shawn Michaels leading into late '96, early '97, because I love that visual of Shawn Michaels at the announce table and Sid. They cut to Sid in the back, and he's got Jose Lothario's son, and he
Right.
power bombs him on the cafeteria table. And Shawn Michaels says, "He's got Pete. He's got Pete."
Yeah.
I always liked that. And then
That
he ran off and Sid had left.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
I really do I think I probably like Sid more in WCW, maybe in like the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
I think that was probably, I like the one you're talking about, but to not take the same one, I'm
Yeah.
going to say, yeah, probably that Sid I liked a lot. Like I liked that, we were watching the Thunder a while back. And remember when he got the whole arena got dark, and he kind of got down on his fallen opponent, and did cut like a promo like over his opponent and stuff like that. It's a real dark Sid.
He was trying to beat Goldberg's streak for a while. That was his story.
Yeah.
He was trying to go undefeated for a long time.
Yeah.
But that was not in December of '91.
No, and yeah, Sid Justice was not memorable for me back then, and I thought that was a really bad main event going up to WrestleMania 8 with.
Sid wasn't around much long after
Sid and
WrestleMania
Hogan.
8. He was gone after that pretty shortly.
I thought Piper Bret Hart was a great match, but I loved Macho Man against Ric Flair. I thought they were the best together. I thought that should have been the main event of WrestleMania 8.
I always thought it was kind of strange that they didn't go with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair
It's very strange.
at WrestleMania 8. You have the two biggest stars of the 80s, right?
Very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you kind of when you have Hogan, you kind of have to put him on last. But I just didn't think that storyline had much going for it. Like I thought, Flair
Yeah.
and Savage seemed like they could actually hate each other. There was a lot of intensity with Randy Savage too. He brought a lot to a storyline.
So, you ready to get that hoagie?
Heck yeah, I'm starving.
Ryan, take us out of here.
Okay, so from December of '91, sit on the cover, WWF magazine. Thanks for joining us, and come back and see us again. Steve, let's eat.